Welcome to Joy of the Hang. I'm your friend Sharon, and this is the place where we share real stories, honest conversations, and the kind of moments that remind you you're not alone. Around here, we laugh, we reflect, and we talk about everything from resilience to reinvention with a little joy woven in along the way. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining us. And to our loyal fans, welcome back. I know your time is valuable, and I truly appreciate you spending a little of it with me. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss a moment. Today, I'm hanging with Paula Woodring, founder and CEO of RELTCO, a national title and closing agency that's shaking up the real estate world. But Paula's story goes far beyond business. She became a homeowner at just 18, built a company from the ground up, and navigated single motherhood with strength and heart. In this episode, we talk about entrepreneurship, generational wisdom, finding connection in unexpected places, and yes, even finding love. This one's for anyone building a life on their own terms. Let's get into it. Welcome, Paula.
Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing good today. Doing good today. It's a little warm outside, so I'm happy to be inside in the air conditioner.
I know, right? I always tell our listeners we're sitting here in Florida, but I think it's hot all over the country right now.
It is. I don't know what's going on, but it's a heat wave everywhere. Everywhere is experiencing the same thing. So we can't identify it just to Florida anymore.
No, right? I know. And Paula is coming to us from Tampa. I am in my studio in Sarasota. And yeah, have you been getting the afternoon showers that we've been getting?
Yes, yes. Those are always the ones that make it even more humid.
Yeah. And did you were you the one that had a lot of damage from the hurricane? The
I did
last,
not. I
you
I
did
did
not.
not, but I have some very, very close friends that did, and that were very, very much impacted. And one of them, she just finally moved in her home about 2 weeks ago, so she's been pretty excited redecorating, and she just had a new grandbaby. So between splitting her time, becoming a new grandmother to redecorating her house, she's been pretty busy. So, but I have a handful that are still, still working on the process. Permitting and things like that have really put a delay and a damper on things here in the local area. So I can't complain to any of my problems I had from it, because it's not even worthy to those that were displaced for months and months.
Same, but Tampa St. Pete got hit especially hard
It
from
did.
what was it, Milton, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're praying that we don't get hit again this season.
Yes.
But I
Right.
think our
Knock
listeners,
on wood.
yeah, right, knock on something. I think our listeners would be really interested to find out how at 18 years old you were able to purchase your own house. I'm thinking back to when I was 18 and thinking, okay, I had a job, but I certainly didn't have enough money to put a down payment on a house and didn't have any credit history. So how were you able to manage that?
Well, I actually did establish my credit early on. I'm a girl, and we haven't gotten into this part, but I love cars, and I have to kind of correlate the two together,
Okay.
because when I was young, I used to watch my father work on cars, and I loved cars, and I found a Fiero GT, and this is dating me, but I found a Fiero GT. And I wanted that car so darn bad that I'm like, Dad, you have to co-sign with me. My mom was like, she doesn't need that. That's a sports car. My dad was like, hell yes, she does.
Oh,
So he, yeah, he co-signed with me so I could get my Fiero GT and be this. That was the beginning of becoming a car connoisseur. And so anyway, I established my credit with that car, and I was able to
was
work
that
it.
your first car?
No, it was not. My
Oh, okay.
dad gave me my first car, which is actually my grandfather's. Grandpa Woody had a Mustang, and my father redid that Mustang for me, and I drove that, and it was a great car. But I wanted something a little more sporty, and what was more sporty at that time than a Fiero GT that had lights that flipped up, and it was so cool. But
Love it.
but yes, so that established my credit, and then I'm very thankful to this day for Twyla Fleming. She worked at one of the local banks, and she took me under her wing, and I went through a community-based program that allowed for some down payment assistance. So you had to take a course, And I did. And so it reduced the amount of money that I had to put down. Keep in mind, I've been working since I was 15 years old. So I saved money. Now, granted, I spent a lot of money on shoes because I've always had a fetish with those. I still do. My fiance right now is dying because of the amount of shit that I have moved to his house in Missouri. So,
Uh-huh.
but I spent my money on some shoes, but I saved a lot of money too, and put to do something like that. And I bought my house, and it was exciting. I was working. I was a homeowner. I was going to college. I was taking courses. I was mowing my yard, studying with my book at the front. My dad had bought me a self-propelled lawnmower, and and I would, because there was like a ledge there that you held onto, and you could put a book. It fit it perfectly, so
Oh, okay.
I could put a book there. I could mow my yard in my tank top, and people would just crack up driving. And keep in mind, my grandparents lived directly up the hill, and they could see everything I did, good and bad, when you're 18 years old, right? And
Right.
he would know when I was out mowing, and he would come down. He's like, "Let me finish." I'm like, "No, Grandpa, I really need to do this. It's something I need to do." And so I did it, and it was pretty exciting.
I love that. So we have the same kind of background with cars. And my dad was a mechanic and
Uh-huh.
he owned a junkyard. That's what they
Oh,
called it
wow.
in the 70s. Yeah. Have you ever heard of that term?
A junkyard?
Junkyard. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I used to go with my dad because they wouldn't destroy all the cars years ago like they do now to make extra space. You could go and buy some really great parts to refurbish or fix the cars. So heck yeah, I'm very familiar with that. I spent
Well,
I
now
spent
it's
some
called,
time junkyarding.
well, now they call it auto salvage, right? That's the politically
Yes,
correct
we
term.
gotta have a fancy name for everything now.
It's not a junkyard. So we had the junkyard dogs. I mean,
Oh
we had
yes,
it all. I said Jim Croce
absolutely.
wrote his song after my dad's junkyard
Oh, I
dogs.
love it. Love it, love it. Love
But
it,
yeah,
love
so
it.
I grew up around junkyards and wrecks and old cars and all that stuff. Yeah, it was
So you're
fun.
familiar.
I was a little grease monkey.
Oh yeah, I would say I wouldn't necessarily get like in the middle of it, but I would help him hand him tools. I would sit on the side of the fender. I would watch him and his best friend Clint drop engines into cars, in a matter of hours.
Uh-huh.
I remember one story. We were at McDonald's in the McDonald's parking lot, and my dad. We were in the car. I was in the back seat, and some guy offered to buy the car that we were in from my dad for a great price. And he's like, "Sold." And so we had to get out of the car. We had to call my grandpa and have someone come pick us up because my dad had just sold the car. But he made a great, that's how it happened. That's what you did, and I'm like, oh my
My dad
goodness.
used
But
to do that to my mother all the time. She'd be driving a car and somebody would want to buy it and he would sell it right out from under her. And boy, did she get mad.
yeah, absolutely crazy.
You're
It's
right.
not like that anymore. Everything has to be so difficult, but great stories for us to reminisce over.
Well, and Paula too. I don't. The cars have become so sophisticated now. It's not
Yes.
the same way. You can't just go out there, with a couple of wrenches and a small
No,
toolbox and
you're not changing an engine in one of those. You can't even tell what is actually the engine anymore. So
right. It's all digital. You have to have a computer to plug it into, right?
yes, but I still love them. I still love them.
I do too. You like the classics still? You
I
like the
like the classics, but you know what? I've as my income level has changed, my my taste has changed for the finer things. We should say.
I just realized I don't know how old you are, but I know how old I am, and now I call it a classic.
Well, I think we're both getting into that classic era.
Are we also classics? Is that what we're in the classic age? Oh my gosh.
It's
So you
okay.
bought
It's
your
all good.
first home, you started a career, you were making $15,000 a year
Oh my gosh.
approximately,
I was
right?
I was balling. I was making $15,200 a year. Woohoo!
Ooh,
And
you remember the number. Yeah.
how
I
can you
love it.
forget it? But
Well, you know
yeah,
what?
no,
That's funny.
I went
Yeah.
to work. I went to work. Funny, it's just crazy how life is. I had a boyfriend at the time. His parents had a loan at beneficial mortgage, and they were always late on their payments, unfortunately. And if we were going to go out, Nolan Road was the road that everyone cruised up and down when you were younger, and we would always do that and go meet friends and things of that nature. So she'd be like, "Oh, take the house payment for me," and so I would, and so that's how I developed the relationship with the gals at Beneficial Mortgage, so that they were intrigued by me, and so that's how I started in my career. Was they offered me a job, and I was very hesitant at first because I had so much on my plate, but eventually I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. Let's see what it's all about, because they did so many different aspects of the business, and so I was intrigued by what I could or couldn't do, and so I went to work for them, and probably the best move I ever made, because I learned so much from those ladies. I learned how to approve a loan. I learned how to then collect from the loan that you gave someone that they didn't make the payments for, and I posted payments. I did a variety of so many different tasks, and I think that that's what's got me where I am today, because I wasn't afraid to do a variety of different things, and I'm still not. I'm not somebody that sits at a desk with my feet up and says, "Oh, I don't need to jump in and help." I prefer to jump in and help and show the employees that, to gain their respect and just their ability to trust me, that I can do what they do. I'm not just a person sitting there pretending to be a boss. So it's just been a good time, and I'm so blessed for each of the challenges that I've been faced with, and there's been a lot.
So I'm curious, as I listened to you, you said you kind of fell into that role. Did you have any dreams of doing anything else when you were younger? Like, what did you think your life?
Oh no, I was a dancer for years. So I did hip hop, jazz, tap. I did a variety of different dancing, and I did that for, gosh, 20 plus years, and that was my passion, and I love that. And then I've kind of expanding into that. I loved interior design, so that's kind of where I branched off and went into, from a schooling perspective, was that in business. So I love to see the final results, and that is so exciting to me, to sit back and look what you can achieve and do for someone, from a design standpoint. So those were my aspirations, was to be a designer, full time. But my what pays the bills is working in my industry and working with lenders. Now I'm not on the lending side anymore, I'm on the title and escrow side, but I still get to work with them, so I still get to empathize and understand what they do, and help them just do their jobs even better, by being an extension of them.
That's awesome. I want to go back to your childhood and talk a little bit. I mentioned in the intro about we would talk about generational wisdom. So I want to talk a little bit about Grandpa Woody, because I also had a grandpa who was very instrumental in my growth. My dad actually passed away in the junkyard when I was 11, and
Oh,
my grandfather really took me under his wing. So I'm just curious, what was that relationship like for you?
well, I had two grandfathers, and both of them were great. My mom's was Grandpa Spear, Grandpa Gene, and he was very instrumental, because my parents were very young. I was born into a couple that fell in love very young, and that they were in the 70s, and they were married for 54 years before my mom passed away at 67. So they had a very long standing relationship that nobody ever thought they were going to be able to do. And that was to include Grandpa Gene, but not Grandpa Woody. Grandpa Woody knew that from the beginning they were the perfect couple, and he's the one, because they were so young, that signed off on them to get married in the first place. So that's a pretty special thing for me to have gotten to have both of my grandpas be instrumental in my life. Grandpa Woody giving me my first car for my dad to fix up, Grandpa Gene being the person there that I spent a great deal of time, and I learned how to cook from my grandparents on my mom's side. My grandma Lucy was just an amazing little German lady, and they were, she called him Daddy.
Wow,
Grandpa Gene was Daddy.
that's
That's a
awesome.
very old term, you know. We don't call our significant others Daddy anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe not out in public.
I was gonna say, maybe in private.
Yeah, not everywhere, but it was, oh, Daddy gave me money for my hair. Oh, Daddy and I went to the grocery store today.
Oh,
But no, I had a really great childhood. I really don't have any bad stories to tell about my childhood like a lot of people do, you know, moaning and groaning about how rough they had it or how horrible it was. We weren't rich, but we were happy. I mean, we had Sunday dinners, and how cool is it to have everybody at your grandparents' house, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody was there at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon every Sunday, like clockwork. And grandma and I would cook, and it was amazing
yeah.
to have that kind of family relation. So
Those family relations are so important. Do you still have that in your family today? Are you able to keep the?
we try very hard. It's something that Darren and I push, you know, as a couple to bring everybody together. We're kind of in a point right now where the kids are a little spread out. We when I'm in Missouri, one of my daughters lives here, so that makes it kind of convenient. But like 4th of July, we had all the kids together, and it was so amazing. My father was here, my all the kids were here, from both Darren and mine, and there's nothing we don't love more, and we try that very hard, to make sure we bring them together. So
Great. So I know your work life was important to you. Obviously, you had a great childhood and a great family. Tell us, or our listeners and me, what it was like being a single mom and also trying to have this career.
oh
How were
wow,
you able to manage that?
I picked up and moved to Florida in 2004, towards the end of 2004. I had two little girls. I knew absolutely no one in the state of Florida whatsoever. I had no friends. The only My parents and my grandparents lived in Florida, but for those of you that are listeners here local, I was in the Clearwater area. My parents and grandparents lived in um, Sarasota, on the furthest tip of Sarasota. That's not a drive that you can make every day.
Mm,
And so that was like a weekend type get together, and couldn't be every weekend because of various things. So I was pretty much on my own, and that was rough. Um, Now let's add into the fact that I was over promised and under delivered. And some of you may even know a little bit of my story, but I came to work for a horrible person. So you add that stress into having two little girls and no outlet of friends to go have a cocktail with or to go have dinner with. You know, I came home to a mom. So I went to work, I came home, I went to work, I came home, and that was my life. And I would sit in my bedrooms at night and cry and go, "What the hell did I do to myself?" I
oh,
picked up my entire family. I moved to Florida. I don't have anybody, and I eventually. Um, I got tired of the employees coming to me in the middle of the afternoon and going, "You know, you're awful nice, but you're about 2 to 3 months too late." And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh!" They would walk out on me. They Because that gentleman that I went to work for would go on the floor and he would tell people that he could hire monkeys to replace them. And, that's not a morale booster by any means. So,
No.
I had to do a job fair. I needed to rehire people. And so I did it. Like I said, I put my big girl panties on and I revamped that entire company. And I pat myself on the back for making it through that. And in the process, love did strike me then. I met a gentleman playing volleyball, and we did get married. We had a beautiful life for quite some time. And then eventually he befriended some individuals and they started taking guys trips, and I'm not one that's against any of that because I take girls trips, but it's with girlfriends that I've had since I was in high school. There's 13 of us that travel together and it's very innocent. We just go lay on the beach and talk and laugh and have a good time. But for some reason these guys thought it was fun to cheat on their wives. So I went from being madly in love with someone, having an amazing life, getting through that turbulence of cleaning up a company that I had no idea that I was going to have to do. Again, two little girls that needed to have their attention of their mom, and then now 10 years later, I had to go through a divorce, and I was like traumatized, and that really dissuaded me from even getting to where I am today to even want to remarry. And So life throws you curveballs. It certainly does. And I've had my fair share of those since I've moved to Florida. I can definitely say that.
Yeah, there's so much there that I want to talk about. I mean, I want to read a quote. You sent me an article from the Tampa Bay Business and Wealth magazine. It was from the May 24 issue, and I'm quoting, said, "I walked into hell. The owner of that company was the most unprofessional, meanest person I'd ever met in my life." And I'm curious, like for our listeners, how do you I don't even know how you stayed. I think I would have walked out and said, "See ya," and tried to find another job. Like, how do you work with somebody that's so difficult? And how are you able to just go in there every day and do your best?
I had a job to do, and I had changed my entire life, and I needed to try to make a go at it and try to. I'm just one that push, push, push. Um, See if you can push through it. Make sure that you can achieve it. And I mean, I owed that to my children because I did pick up and I moved our entire life from Missouri to Florida, put them in brand new schools, interrupted their lives. So I really couldn't do that again. And uh, finding a great job like that, at the time, I thought it was amazing. You're offered this great salary. They relocate you. They want you because you have sold big accounts, and you get the opportunity to bring those big accounts with you. And I owed it to those accounts as well. I couldn't let them just, I couldn't fail them. And if I didn't find a way to deal with him, which I did, I pretty much just ignored him. I mean, he would still come up to me and go, if I wanted to, I could fire all the blondes in the office today and you'd be the first to go. So eventually I got to the point that if he would say something like that to me, I go, please do. But, if you're going to threaten, just do it. Don't threaten me, just do it and make me, and then we'll go from there. And so I think when I called his bluff a couple times and I, gave some of that back to him, I don't know if I earned respect or if I earned shock
Well,
from.
I mean, I guess I'm wondering, was there a HR department that you could go to and say anything to, or were you just on your own trying to battle
Not
this?
really, because it's not
Okay.
really because it was individually owned and he
Um,
didn't care.
okay.
It
Was he
wasn't a
the
corporation, huh?
was he the owner?
He was the owner. He
Oh,
was the
wow.
owner.
So he was
So
the
He was the top. He was the top. So, having someone be so unprofessional at the top was, and it was a big company at the time. And it's since I cleaned it up, it got sold to even a bigger company. So, that achievement is a check mark on my list of achievements that I personally have. Even though I wasn't an owner in that company, I was the hands that got it put together to have someone the size of who bought it buy it.
Well,
So
it takes great strength to overcome adversity like that and to
it
deal with that
does.
in and out because you spend so much of your time at work.
Yes, yes. And that limited my ability to be able to get out there and meet people too, to get out into the Tampa Bay market and put myself out to CEO councils and you know so many of the things that I do now, it prevented me from doing those for a good number of years while I was getting that place cleaned up, dealing with him and getting myself acclimated to the state of Florida.
Yeah. I want to bounce to when you said you were cheated on and talk a little bit
I
about your
was.
personal life because I think a lot of women have been there too, and have,
Yep.
I've had situations where it's happened to me and it's hard to rebuild that trust.
It is.
So, tell me like what you went through during that time and what advice you'd give other people that are going through that
Oh,
or even
I
that.
talk to someone.
Okay.
You can't just keep it all inside. You have to talk to someone, and eventually you have to forgive. And if you can't get to the point of forgiving, it's not forgetting because you never forget. But if you get to the point of forgiving, then you can move on. And moving on doesn't mean that you're going to instantaneously fall in love with someone and blah blah blah. That doesn't happen. It. I think the day that I forgave myself and the day that I forgave him was we had lunch together, and I wanted our marriage to work, and I looked at him and I said, uh, um, what did I do wrong? And he goes, absolutely nothing. He goes, it was all my fault. He goes, and I was stupid. He goes, I was stupid to disrupt our life. I was stupid. I messed up, and I thought at the time, should I take this man back? And I was strong enough to sit across the table from someone I was still in love with and truly walk away myself. You always feel like when you're cheated on that they've kind of put their foot out the door, and they've chosen to leave what you guys have built together. And at that point in time, I was able to make that transition and walk away myself with my pride, with my respect, and that day was a big deal for me, and I will never forget that feeling that I had, that I walked away knowing that I'm beautiful, I am strong, I survived, and someday I will be able to find someone that's going to love me for me again. And so if you're out there and this has happened to you, it's not your fault.
That's right.
You can't blame yourself. But I did time and time again. I travel too much? Did I not give him the attention he needed? There were so many things that go through your head. Why?
Right.
But you can't make excuses for other people.
Did you go to counseling and marriage counseling and try to work on it, or were you just done?
Well, it was with him. It was a 1, 2, 3 strike. You're out.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did forgive him twice, and even though there was still that hesitancy and that trust that had been broken, I loved him so much.
Yeah.
I really did, and I didn't want to fail, and I looked at that as a failure. If I gave up, then I failed. I failed my girls, but I finally, after that day, I realized that I feel my girls, if I stay in something and show them that this is what they should or shouldn't have in their life, and I realize that I can't let them think that it's acceptable behavior and that it's acceptable to be treated this way repeatedly. So I look at it as though I not only did it for myself, but I did it for them.
I couldn't agree more. One of the podcasts I did recently, the guest used a phrase and she said, our children, what did she say? She said something to the effect of, we're the way they're watching us, we're being caught, not taught. So
Yeah.
they're catching what we're doing. Not we're not
Yes.
just teaching them, they're catching it. And I know I didn't say that right, but you understand
Oh
what I
yeah, I do, 100%.
we
And
are
I,
their
but
role models, right?
I only
Yeah.
think people that have been in that situation would understand that too.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk, but until you've, unfortunately experienced it, don't take the advice of anyone else. You have to overcome it yourself because people will throw, all these solutions, or, why don't you just forgive him? Why don't you just move past it? Well, I tried to twice, and then the third time I was just like, you're it's a habitual, it's a problem. It's
Yeah.
something that needs to be dealt with in other ways, and I just don't think that I deserve that treatment. So
Well, and also I think a lot of people are judgmental about divorce and, you should stay together for the kids. And that he wasn't their father though, right? This one.
he was not. He
Yeah.
was not, but he
So,
was there from they were very young when we got together. So
yeah. I used to hear that argument when I got my divorce. And, you know, my daughter and I now have a very, well, we did then, but we have a very close adult relationship now. And she says, I can't imagine you two being together. Like you're both much happier with your current partners. And, that makes more sense to me. So, and I said, one of the things that was a priority for both he and I was that we always put our children first. And no
mhm,
matter what was happening with us, they always came first. And I thought,
right.
because we did that and we showed them that they are still loved, and what happened between he and I really has nothing to do with we made wonderful children. And I know you feel the same way about you made
Absolutely.
beautiful children. You just, for us, we just grew apart. I mean, I still care for him. I'm happy for him, but now he's remarried. I'm remarried. And I said, now, and we just were at my daughter's graduation, the two couples sitting together. And I was so proud of the fact that, we're showing our kids that we can move on, and they each have two more positive adult role models in their lives. So
Mhm.
I said that to my husband's new wife. I said, I've always been grateful that you've always shown up for my kids. And so I've never felt threatened by her. I've always felt grateful that he met somebody that was so great and such a positive influence. So I said, they have a bonus mom. That's how I look at
Yes, absolutely.
it,
Yes. You have bonus parents, and you have
Yeah,
bonus children, and I hate that word step. Darren
me
and
too.
I talk about that now. They're not steps. Steps are something you walk on. Children are
Exactly.
not steps.
I like that.
So
Mhm.
they're not, they are bonus, they are just an enhancement, they are a bonus to your life. And I truly feel honored to be able to mother three more children that I didn't birth. That's such a plus in my life. And if I could have had more kids, I would have, but
I know.
now I get to have bonus ones that I didn't have to go through all the pain and suffering for.
Yeah, and the great part too about bonus kids at our age, I don't know how old yours are, but Scott's children are adults. So I get to have an adult friendship relationship with them.
Yes.
I don't even think
Yes.
of them as children.
Mine are kind of at that status. We're staged where we have a 17-year-old, we
Okay.
have a 21-year-old, a 23. So those are Darren's, and then you get to mine, which are 25 and 28. So they get along. So that was, like having them all together is a good thing. There's no animosity, nobody's arguing. They all have similar common interests. So it's the dynamics are pretty great. We're really blessed, really
That
blessed.
is such a blessing. Now, you've mentioned Darren a couple of times. So, Darren is your fiance. We talked about finding love again. So,
Ah, oh,
yeah,
oh my
congratulations.
gosh. So many years later. Let's see. I have been, well, I have dated, I've dated, but there's never been that right person, that I wanted to say I do to. I actually said I would never get married again. I've told numerous people that, but there's a little something special about Darren. Darren and I have known each other since high school. So we go back to, I used to work at a place before I bought my house. We'll kind of come full circle here, where I was saving my money. I was working at Sears Surplus, and Darren and I went to school together. One of his best friends lived four doors up from my grandparents, so we used to hang out. And he was a grade higher than, he's a grade older than me, and he used to come visit me at Sears Surplus just to come see me. And but we never like became that official couple. It was something that now we're like, God, we wish we would have, but we didn't. So it wasn't right timing, I guess you could say, because after high school he went off to the army, and I, of course, we all know what I did. I bought a house and started my career. But 30 some years later, here we are, and it all started. And I love and hate Facebook. I don't know about you all, but Facebook is, I've seen people get divorced because of it. I've seen people, get cheated on and lied to. And, everyone wants to make everything seem so fantastic on Facebook. But, here, they live in a mansion, but yet they live in a mobile home. Who cares where you live, uh, you know, there's so much craziness. But I'm grateful for Facebook, because to me, you do get to keep up with your friends. And there are people that are truly legit on there. And Darren and I have been friends on Facebook for years. He was married for 26 years, well, together with his wife for 26 years. And they've been divorced for a good number of years as well. He never thought he would get divorced either. So we both said, oh, we're never getting married again. And it all started over a Facebook post. And guess what that Facebook post was?
What?
It was about a house.
It was about a house?
I thought he posted a picture of a house that he and one of his business partners, he does some side hustling for, like, refurbishing houses and selling them, flipping them. And he posted the picture of this cute house, and I looked at it. I had to take a double take because I thought it was my house I bought when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
Literally, if I showed you a picture of it, it's so close to looking just like it. And I had to look and I had to look again. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So all I did was innocently put a post on there saying, thank you for such great memories. I said, I thought this was my house, but it's not. I said, but, it looks just like the one I bought when I was 18. And boom, he messaged me back, and he was like, oh gosh, how ironic. And from there, the rest is history. So, all over a house. Can you believe that?
I love it. It's so funny.
my
Your
life,
life is meant to
my
be
life comes
exactly as
full
it is.
circle.
I know, right? That's crazy. That's crazy. Speaking of full circle, let's go back, because
Yeah.
you are like a powerhouse in business, and I want to really make sure we
Oh,
emphasize that. I'm so happy that your love life is taken off.
yes,
And
yes.
you're getting married within the next couple of months.
I
So very
am. October, yes.
yeah, so it's all working out. But let's go back. So you started a new company, Relco, but even before that, before the bad boss, you found out what it was like to be a good boss.
I did.
And his name was Jerry.
It was. It was Jerry. And
And
Jerry
yeah,
Jerry was amazing. Jerry was amazing. He we were in, if for those of you that know the Missouri area, there's a building called the Darth Vader building, and the company was located inside there. And Jerry would every morning walk up and down, to go and greet everyone. We all wore name badges, and I was like, okay, name badges, like I worked for McDonald's, but that's okay. um But you know why we wore them is because he would make us all feel so special, even though if you think back, you're like, well, he had a name tag, duh. But every morning he would walk by and he would go, hi, Paula. Hi, Susan. Hi, Charles. Hi, Nicholas. He would always walk by and say, good morning, good morning, good morning. And he would address you by your name. How cool is that for someone to walk around and truly be a daily instrumental person in your morning, and you feel so appreciated. So I've taken the good and the bad, and I think that's what's made me a pretty good boss because I've experienced so much. And a lot of people don't know how to manage people, but I've had the opportunity to have a really great boss and a really, really bad boss. And I know what I do and don't want in my business, and I think that's what's helped me to shine and be the kind of person that people want to work for and want to work with. So,
I love that story because I mean, it's such a small thing, right? Remembering someone's
mhm,
name. Whenever my
yep,
husband and I are out, we meet someone, I make sure I say it a few times to remember it too. And he's always like, when we get home, what was so and so's name? What was so and so's? And he goes, why are you so
right,
good at that? And I used to manage
yes,
hotels and I would do the same thing. I would say hi to the, housekeepers and then all the way up to my, whatever, my lead management team. And I was like,
yes,
you have to make sure everybody feels valued and appreciated no matter what their role is in the company, right? That's how you
absolutely.
quality employees. And so I learned that at same thing at a very early age, that these small things make such a huge difference. And so whenever I'm out somewhere, I really try to make a mental note. And when I forget someone's name, first of all, it's unusual, but second of all, it's like, okay, I've got to make sure I go back. And because when you see them again and you address them by their name and they're
Oh,
like,
it means so much.
yeah, you remember,
Yes.
yeah, it means so much. It's such a small thing. So, yeah, I love. So tell me about RELTCO. What is it? Oh, wait, I want to go back first. You had another job where it said Chicago Title Insurance Company, where you were hired to fire. First of all, that sounds awful. Oh boy,
Right.
I was hired as a,
I
you know,
was. I was like, oh my goodness, it was crazy. But probably the best experience in early on when I'm working for someone else, probably one of the highlights of my career, because even though it was so challenging, they told me they wanted me to come work for them. They, I believe at the time, memory serves me correctly, I think it was like we had 8 offices throughout the region, and they weren't that profitable. So we needed to figure out why weren't they profitable. Well, a lot of times it is about location. Where did you place the office? Who do you have in the office? So those were my first things, and I was young. I was in my 20s, and but I was very perceptive. So my challenge was is to go around to each office, meet and greet people, talk to them, talk to the clients, get a feel for the office, the location, get a feel for the people that were working there, and put a report together and give that to the president of the company. And so I did. I put my report together, and that report included office location. It included, I mean, things to decor fitting the office location to the people. And, so we, when I turned in that report, it was a few days, maybe a week later, I was called into the office and they said, here you go, do it. So the things that I had on the list, I was required to go do.
yeah,
So I had to, I fired some. I moved a lot. I had to relocate a couple of offices. I redecorated a couple of offices. Some days I felt like I had knives in my back because people were like, "Oh my God, she's just disrupted." Because people had been in locations like years, and it just wasn't the right fit. But when you move someone, and people will understand this as well. both of these areas are beautiful. If you move someone from Olathe, Kansas to Leawood, Kansas, those are two completely different clientele bases. So if a lady sitting in Leawood is not fitting that specific clientele and you move her to Olathe, she can flourish perhaps. And that's exactly what happened. Like 3 to 6 months later, even though people in the beginning were hating me because they were like, oh my God, I have to make this longer drive. But I was like, well, you got a job. So let's see how it goes, and
Yeah.
that's what I would tell them. I'm like, you have a job, you have the ability to grow something here and make it bigger and better, and just give it a try. Just give it a try. And 3 to 6 months later, they were coming to me, giving me flowers, taking me to lunch, going, oh my God, thank you so much, Paula, for moving me to this location. I feel so great. And so profitability started to increase because people were happy. The clients and the employees matched each other. So that was exciting to me to have achieved that. Now, disheartening to have to have fired so many people too. But you know what? Um, that has to happen in business. And I learned that at an early age. And so I'm not hard, but I also understand that if you don't perform, you don't have a job. And that people now in today's society, they have such expectations that they're just going to be able to hang around, or they're going to do the minimal, and people aren't going to address it. Um, don't do that. You're not doing anything for anyone by letting someone just sit there and not do the task that they're supposed to do well.
Yeah.
And you should want to do it well. If you're listening, don't be lazy,
Yeah.
because someone at some point in time is going to notice, and you are going to get fired. And getting fired is not fun.
No, but
So,
it takes a lot of courage and confidence to do that. I had to do that at a young age too. I was 25 years old, and I remember I had been the director of sales and marketing at a hotel, and I ended up being promoted to the general manager position. And anyway, I remember I had this one, because I was young, I had this one woman who was very close to the previous general manager, and she did not like me being in that role at all, and she was making my life a living hell. And so I had to make the decision to fire her too. And so
oh,
I did, and I was like in knots about it because I don't like conflict. And I was like, I just want everyone to get along and do their
yep,
job and let's all figure this out. And she was,
yes,
the cancer went through the entire staff. That's what I kind
oh,
of, it just, you know what I'm saying? It just was
I
horrible.
do, I
And so
do,
I had to get rid of it. So I let her go and cried like you did. I cried about it
yes,
a
oh yeah,
while. It was really heart wrenching for me. And same thing though, ironically, like a month or two later, she came, we had a staff luncheon or something, and everybody said, can we invite so-and-so back to the meeting? And with much hesitation, I said, yes, we can have her come back to the lunch or whatever, appreciation luncheon or whatever it was. And
right.
so she came back and she accepted my invitation, came back, gave me a big hug, and was like,
Oh,
you know what? Thank you. I needed to go. And she went on to do better other things, right? And was
hmm,
happier. Um,
yep,
it was the same thing. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard.
it is. It is. Um,
Oh,
but the happiness that you get from the longevity, the long-term solutions
right.
outweigh that bad feeling eventually. And I think that everyone has to experience that at some point in time in their life, being able to make those types of decisions that are impactful to an organization. If you're going to be a business owner, it's going to have to happen repeatedly. There's
Yeah.
going to be times that you're going to have to unfortunately lay people off, or let someone go that just is that bad apple in the bunch. And one person can make a big difference to an organization. That's crazy to think too, right? But
Yeah. And
it's
they may not even be a bad apple. It just not, they may not be in alignment with the mission. It's
right,
that simple, right? It's just that
right.
simple. So,
Yep,
you have to have people that are going to move you forward in business, right?
agreed.
So
Agreed.
you are now owner of RELTCO. Do you still you own it? And then you turned your $15,000 paycheck into 15 million.
I did. I did. Well, I I started it in 2013, and it was just a dream that I had, and it was I was going to go big or go home. You know, you can start a title insurance company and be local to a Florida market, but I was like, you know what? I've been doing it national, and I've been doing it for other people for years. I can do this. So, I put my mind to it, and I just started getting licensed in all the different states, which requires not only the company to get licensed, but me as an individual. It requires you to be educated in all of the states, and keep in mind that there's a good 15 states that are attorney states that require you to have a lot more knowledge there than it does just in some of the basic states. Laws change, laws are different in each one of the areas, so you have to keep yourself abreast. So when clients are looking to come aboard, Reltco is a huge solution for them because we're so experienced. We're not just we don't call ourselves one hit wonders. We are magicians across the country. So we have our headquarters in Tampa, and then we have 8 offices in other states. So we try to strategically place those where it fits not only client base and where our regional salespeople are, but also from a licensing perspective as far as requirements go there. But we are very colorful. We service all kinds of transactions, even some that people hate that we do, and I don't really care. We do everything from cell towers to cannabis to this new product called an AOL, which is an attorney opinion letter that doesn't necessarily require title insurance, but does require escrow services, which hence we are a title and escrow company. So we do residential and commercial properties all over the country. And so we have teams that specialize in each of those. And I'm excited to say that not only did I grow my company and sell it once, I bought it back and I've regrown it. So I am kind of like a success story in its own right. That the company is still in business. We've had a uh, very torturous last couple of years with these interest rates, and
Yeah.
I know our president's trying to work on that, but everybody's duking it out. And if we see some market transitioning, that's going to help a lot of people in our industry. But we're holding on, and we have a great team. Everyone's been with me, almost every single person since day one. So
Wow.
2013 to today, we've won so many awards, and I couldn't do any or be anything better than I am without my team.
That
So
speaks volumes about you as a leader to be able to say that.
they are amazing. Yeah.
Wow. How many employees do you have?
We have nationwide, we have 103. That's spaced out. So that's all over the United States. A good portion of those are 1099 individuals because a lot of salespeople and individuals that are in our local offices that are out like to be 1099 so that they can either one, earn incentives or commissions, or just take care of their own, taxes and things of that nature. That just makes it easier for them. But we have about 50 that are on payroll local. So yeah, so we've been a top Tampa Bay company to work for. I think, gosh, 9 years. I think we've won it. We've earned that award 9 years, and that's pretty great because that's in 100% employee nominated, 100% employee. They do a little survey, so it comes
Uh,
out and it's tabulated not by me, not by anybody else other than the top places to work for Tampa Bay.
So, as a former realtor, I'm familiar with title insurance for homes, residential. I was not familiar for that you needed it to grow cannabis or sell cannabis. You need title
You
insurance?
do. Well, cannabis, it's pretty much anything. We do anything that has real estate. So, with cannabis, you have the dispensary is on a piece of property. So, people a lot of times get the loans to build the dispensary. We don't touch the cannabis product ourselves. Nothing that we do is related to that. So, if they're going to resell a cannabis dispensary that's already in existence, that cannot be included in the real estate transaction. But the dispensary itself, the building, not the goods inside, but the building itself is on real estate. So that's what we're able to insure and write title insurance on. Just like a cell tower is on a piece of property. And so we do cell tower leaseholds as well as new tower construction for that and write the title insurance for those
Okay,
as
well, that
well.
makes more sense to me because I'm thinking cannabis is not legal. It's not federally legal. So, oh, it says it's stopped due to an incoming call. You getting an incoming call?
No?
I don't know. Neither am I. We'll keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, cannabis is not a federally, yeah, it's not recognized federally. So I was confused, but it makes sense. It's a real estate,
Yes.
not
Yes,
the
it's a real estate transaction. Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. So RELTCO is known for innovation. What does innovation means to you in an industry that many might see as traditional or process heavy?
Because we are colorful. We are very diversified.
Okay.
So title insurance is very black and white. From a legality standpoint, it's boring as hell. But you know what? We make it colorful by the types of clients that we bring aboard, and to make sure that we have that diversification, and our employees never get bored. They're they when they pick up a transaction, they're not necessarily sure what type of transaction they're going to be working that day, but it gets assigned out to a team that is either challenged with commercial or residential. We sometimes subdivide the refis out because they're easier, obviously, than doing a
Yeah,
massive building that's going to be, conveyed to five different owners. But yeah, so I love the fact that we're so colorful. I'm colorful. I'm a colorful person. So
I can see that. I was like, okay, title insurance is not boring with you at the helm.
oh yeah, I don't know. It can be redundant, but it's not. Yeah, it's definitely not boring because there's just so many different diverse things that you can do.
Well, I found it fascinating. So, what keeps you motivated after more than a decade? How do you stay passionate about work?
uh, I think I'm just so energetic as a whole, as a person, and I put everything into everything that I do. People are like, I don't even know how you have so much energy. But if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it right, and I'm gonna take that approach on making sure that we're all having fun. We have a fun room, for goodness sake. We have a room that has a pool table and a dartboard and a couch so they can take naps and recharge, and all those things make for a great time and fun. And I think that work doesn't have to be boring. It can also be a good time.
That's awesome. For women who want to lead in male dominated industries like yours, by the way, what advice would you give based on your own journey?
Oh gosh, don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater. Oh my goodness, in my career and in my life, because I am. Don't be afraid to outshine. Don't be afraid to be outspoken. People will listen. People will remember you, and you know what? You might have to adapt. For quite some time. My industry was primarily men, and I would be the only woman, and you can tell I'm a blonde. I have glasses. There's a few other that could come into play for people remembering who I am. But you got to find some common ground to become remembered, to become someone. But you head on your shoulders as well, and understand and can talk the talk with people. one of the things that I did as an individual in my business was come up with some commonality. And during that commonality in my probably my mid to later 20s was sports. I really dived into the sports, football, baseball, hockey. When I relocated to Florida, I had no idea how amazing hockey was. I fell in love with the Lightning, and I was just a huge fan. But having that, because it is was a male dominated industry, having that, being able to talk about those items with the guys at the table, I wasn't just another pretty face sitting there. I could actually have an intelligent conversation with them. So yours doesn't have to be sports, it could be something else, but mine was. And so like I said, having that commonality and just something that makes you stand out. And don't be afraid, because I would get doors shut on my face. People would think that I was coming in and I was interviewing for their jobs. Like the front desk ladies were thinking that I was coming in to become a closer, and I was actually coming in to meet with the CEO. And they would look at me, they'd be like, "Oh, who's this guy? Who's this lady?
Who does she think
Well,
she is?
yeah, who is she getting to come into the CEO's office? I don't even get to go in there very often." And I'm like, girl, don't be a hater. Because the world is really small, and eventually you're going to see that person again. And be nice, just be nice. And I think that's probably one of the things that people can say about me the most, is that I'm nice. I'm nice. I'm a nice person. So
You're a good
you're a
boss.
good boss. I am. Yes, I try to be.
What's a
What's
moment
a
you're most
moment?
proud of in your career? One of those we're really doing this kind of moments.
Oh, you know what? I think it was oh, there's so many great ones. Like I said, I've won so many awards, but I wouldn't have been able to do those without my team. But having been published in the magazine Tampa Bay Business and Wealth was a pretty big deal for me. They sought me, someone nominated me to be in that magazine, and you have to be a CEO with a certain level of criterias to meet. And when I went back and looked at some of the articles and the people that were on those cover, I'm like, damn, those are pretty important people. I'm impressed at the things that they've done and the people they are, and they're going to put me on the cover. I'm just me, and I don't look at myself as anything special. I just do what I do, and but to be acknowledged and see that in writing, and to have like friends all over saying, "Oh my gosh, I saw your magazine at the doctor's office. Oh my gosh, I saw your
Yeah.
magazine at the local bakery." That was pretty impactful to me. And but again, I don't let things like that go to my head. It is just a magazine, and it is just a story. And if anything, if I can tell my story and incentivize other people to get out there and to live their dreams, then I will. And that's what I hope to gain from it.
That's awesome. I'm very inspired by you. And now I have some rapid fire closers for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What's
Let's see what you
your
got.
coffee order in the morning? Do you
Say
drink
that
coffee?
again.
Do you
I
drink
do
coffee?
drink coffee.
All right. What's your coffee order?
Uh, Caramel macchiato,
Ooh, I
and
like
I
that one.
prefer iced. I prefer iced over hot.
Well, we are in
Yes.
Florida after all.
Yes.
Okay. What is your morning routine? How do you get ready for the day?
Oh, you know what? It's really bad, but I start my morning off checking my emails. I do. But not only do I do my emails, but I am a huge LinkedIn person. So a lot of times I mean, I have people all over that will be like, "Oh my gosh, I loved your thought for the day. I love how positive and how impactful you are." So go and check out my LinkedIn page, because I'm constantly putting great not only resourceful information for what I do, but also things that are important to me as a person and things that I believe in and or things that really touch me. And I think it's important to get the positive word out there. So every morning I sit and I prepare my daily post for LinkedIn, and I'm a scheduler. So I schedule them out for times throughout the day. And ladies and gentlemen, I do my own LinkedIn page. I do not do and use AI. I do not have someone else doing it for me. It's all Paula. So if you love it or hate it, it's me.
Yay, no AI. My mother would be very proud of you because she's
Oh,
always like, Mom,
thank
stop
you.
using AI. I swear it gets addictive. So I'm glad you haven't gotten into that bad habit.
Yes, yes.
All right, what's your go-to stress reliever?
You really want to know?
Huh?
Sex.
Yes. Don't tell my husband.
Luckily, I have a great partner now, and he's game for that. So no,
My
no.
husband would say the
And
same.
I love to read, and that's completely opposite things, right?
Okay, do you have a lot of stress? No, don't answer that.
No, no, that's funny. That's just me, though. I'm a goofball, but sorry.
Be sorry. I love it. And I love that women can say that. Like that's so awesome. It's so empowering, right?
If you're not doing it, you're doing something wrong.
Life is short.
It
All
is.
right. Give us some advice for your younger self or your daughters. What advice would you give? I know your daughters are
Uh,
working with you. I'm sure they're proud
they
of you.
do. My daughters work for me, and they have the my 25-year-old since she was just right before turn 16, and my 28-year-old has been with me for 6 years. So, you know what? I built the company. It's my legacy. When you build a company, it's your legacy. Don't depend on everyone else to want to live your same legacy. So if they don't be mad at them for doing so. I've always told my daughters, I'm so happy and so impressed that you even want to work with me because I know I was annoying as shit when you were growing up. But you know what? They listen to me and they know the terminology. They know what, you know, they knew so much before they walked in the door, but they also had to work their way up to get where they are as well. They were just handed a job. So, but back to the fact that it's my legacy. Don't expect your children to want to continue that legacy. If they don't want to, that's okay. And I've told both my girls that. And it's real important for you to not get hung up on that, and that for you to let that invade or affect your family. And one of the things that I stress the most is do not bring work home. So when you are like us, when we had our, big 4th of July celebration all together, we weren't sitting around talking about work. Work was off limits. And it was all about fun and family and a good time. So don't let work impede into your personal life so much as to where you're not enjoying it. Life is too short. It truly is.
It truly is. Well, Paula, I've enjoyed hanging with you so much
Ah,
today.
me
I
too.
enjoyed-
Thank you so much.
I know. Thank you so
It's
much.
been so fun.
It has been fun, and good luck to you and your wedding and your
Thank you
upcoming wedding.
so much. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I'm so excited for the wedding day, but I'm also excited to share in a beautiful honeymoon in Spain. And we're just excited, to take this
Oh,
journey together. And just remember, love can hit you at any point in time, and never say never.
well, you know what? The full circle moment. You were meant to be together. So
I think
excited
so.
for you.
I think so.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time today. We will
Thank
chat soon.
you. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.